Hey guys, we've got news on Global for February 24th with the NeoVision's version of Esther. And this week, joining me to discuss it is Dream from the Global Exclusive podcast. So if you want to introduce yourself, Dream.
Hi there. Oh, that was slightly early. Hello. Me.
So we've got our first global exclusive premium unit, which is the fan favorite unit of Esther, or she's being called Stormseeker Esther. So, Dream, are you one of the rabid fans of Esther, or is she just okay for you? Do you hate her? How do you feel about Esther?
I would say slightly above moderate. I think she's quite nice. She was certainly great on my team for quite a long time. So
Oh yeah, she was definitely extremely powerful for a long time on her release. For me, she's fine. I'm just neutral. I like Esther. She was absolutely powerful for a year. I'm just not one of those die-hard love Esther to death fans. There are definitely a bunch of those in the
right.
community, which is
Yeah.
cool and all. That's probably the reason she was picked for the first premium for global, because she's premium. She's going to be expensive.
Oh boy.
So here is our step up. So we've got 12K per step. You got to do it 5 times for the pity. That's a grand total of 60,000 lapis for the pity. It's a limit of 1. It doesn't specify if we're going to get those pity tickets on the regular pull, if you got to keep going, and a lot of players are going to have to keep going after 60K. So I don't know if you can pity more than one. Do you remember the previous premiums, Dream? Could you pity more
I
than one Sephiroth and stuff?
I think you could get a second one, but it was a bit more expensive. I think it's 24 tickets instead of 20, so the next one costs 70k or something,
Oh, I remember
if I'm
that.
remembering
Yeah,
right.
yeah. I think you're right. Okay. So hopefully no one has to go that far, but I mean it is a premium, and if you want to go all the way to EX3, the statistically you're probably going to have to. I might just stop at EX2, or depending how they
Yeah.
go,
The
maybe less.
So this is the standard premium banner format with one exception, and that's the 4% NV rate that you can see there rather than the 3%. But I'm guessing, maybe this is just being a bit pessimistic, but I think the on-banner NV rate for her is still going to be 1%.
It almost certainly is. I would definitely assume that's going to be. It does say 5% guaranteed on the last step for the feature. And I don't know if that's for only the guaranteed crystal or if that's for all 11 pulls in that step. I don't know. It's
I would interpret that as just the guaranteed.
You're probably right. That is almost certainly right. Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, there's no way they're going to do 5% for every single pull. So you're right. Damn, that would have been nice. But overall,
We can dream.
the step up is decent value. You get a guaranteed Neo per lapse. That's 5 guaranteed Neos if you go all the way to pity. Um, you know,
Yeah, in terms of just raw summon per lapis, the premium banner format isn't too bad, but it's just real rough for guarantees.
definitely. And then here's the summon shop. I didn't open the news specifically for the summon shop. It's the typical premium summon shop, meaning no shards at all in the summon shop. But it does have the NeoVision's tickets, so you can exchange. If you go all the way to pity, you're gonna have 20 tokens. You can exchange those for I think 2 more guaranteed Neos from the 1/10 tickets if you just dump them all on that. Which there's really nothing else to spend in the shop, so you may as well.
Mm. I think you only have enough for 12 of the 1/10 one from a 60k,
Oh, is that
because
right?
there's only 2 tickets that are 1 coin each, and then the other 18 are 2 coins each.
Ooh. You can tell that I didn't chase a premium. Actually, I did chase Tyvus, didn't I? I went all the way to pity on him, didn't I? I remember chasing Tyvus and it going really poorly. Did I go to pity? I don't remember. I,
I
it, it,
think you
it,
did.
it was such a bad experience. I blocked it from my memory.
I'm too poor for premium banners in general, so
And here is our unit. She is a true Brave Shift. In the base form, she's just pure DPS. In the Shift form, she's like a tank, physical tank. And based on the video from Shally, she can actually Omni cover as well. We don't know if she can permanent Omni cover like Chow can, with the stipulations of, being able to enable it. But we don't know if it's a cooldown, one-time thing, etc. But she does have it in her kit.
yeah. I'm guessing it'll be a couple of niche defensive things and won't overall see much use, but that's just speculation.
So do you think Dream she's going to be in the shift form a tank in the sense of her original form, or like Nappy or like King Bradley, where like she can tank but not really, or do you think she's going to be like a full powered Mave tier tank? What's your expectation here?
I'm definitely more thinking the light tank side of thing, with maybe like a Grandis that will have like element absorb stuff, so she can have like a couple of niche but strong defensive abilities, but not really much of a full tank overall. That's just my guess.
That seems definitely more likely. I'm hopeful that she's like just the overpowered tank, because if I'm gonna pull a premium unit, I want them to be strong. I want them to be
Fair.
overboard. So I kind of hope she's like just amazing at tanking and then amazing at DPS in the base form. That could be overpowered and unbalancing, but I wouldn't be upset about it.
What's the bet on her just being thoroughly mediocre because they know people will pull anyway?
That is a possibility for her tank form. Now here's the cool thing is, like all other premiums from JP, she doesn't have any EX3 buffs or EX3 skills. The only benefit of going to EX3, other than just higher base stats, is the vision card, and the vision card isn't even that spectacular. We'll talk about that more specifically in a moment. But
Okay.
so like this is like a premium where it's kind of fine. It seems to stop at EX2.
That was definitely my opinion as well with the card.
Yeah, like Sephiroth or Tyvis, etc. You really, really want that vision card, because not only is it a great card, it also powers up the unit a large amount with like the flat stats. This one,
Yeah, I think that's the big difference. Every other premium vision card has had 500 flat stat, or at the very least the unit that it belongs to, but there is no flat stats on Esther's card. And in fact, because of that, it might not even be her own best in slot card. Like the global exclusive one we got in, I think it was January, with the 200% TDH, 110 attack, and 300 flat attack, or 250 flat attack. That might even be better for her depending on how much innate attack, true double hand, and limit damage she has.
that's what I was thinking. Definitely, just the flat stats on that will make it just overall better. That, or depending on how stacked she is on passives, it could even be better to use the newest one because it has 300 flat stats, even though none of those passives will help her. But if all you literally need, or if she's capped on everything just easily, which is possible,
Mhm.
that would just be higher flat stats. So that'd
Yeah,
be good.
that is still would only be a 50 stat increase from the January one, so that's not too big a deal on the difference, even if that is the case. But yeah, it's possible.
And then in the future, for those of you that just always want the best of the best of the best, Knights of Grand Shell card will be her best card, and everyone else is in the game.
Yeah, well, all the FFB units at least, because they all get 500 flat attack from it.
No, it's all physical units, period, regardless
Oh,
of
right,
series.
right. It's roll, not FFB.
It's a crazy card, but that is coming
Right,
later.
yeah. Even better.
So her STMR is non-elemental. Some players were concerned about her being element locked, and based on the preview video, I should have made a screenshot for it. I didn't, but they actually showed you her LB in the preview video yesterday, which also doesn't reference any elemental lock. So she seems to be fully non-elemental. Her STMR has no element. Her LB has no element. So like Graph is really popular because he can go to any element. It seems like Esther can as well. Now it is a great sword, which is kind of unfortunate for the early days because we still have a month
Oh, yeah.
remaining until that becomes a good variance. But
Mhm.
it will be better later, and it's probably going to be her best in slot. I don't know. Do you think it's going to be better to force a gun on her, assuming Louise is on the team? Dream.
I don't think so because A, it's got the 500 flat attack for her, and B, in her Magnus down below, we can see that she has a greatsword in peril. So
Okay.
maybe for the 3 weeks, the variance difference will eke it out, but definitely after the patch, I would say this is her best weapon, without a doubt.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
But
And
even
then
even before that, it might win.
I look forward to your calculations on Thursday night. So the TMR is kind of whatever. You're probably not going to use this for the DPS form. I would assume if you have her at EX2, you're going to use the STMR instead. But for the tanking form, you're probably going to want this, and I would assume you're going to want Steiner's STMR while tanking, which is a 180 one-handed greatsword, so she can use a shield. Because Shally mentioned on the video, she is a sword and shield tank in the shift form. So that'll be which is good. I'm actually glad because that just means higher defense. Because if she was a double-handed tank, like even if she had 400% defense double hand, like we already have that with a shield. So I'm really glad they didn't try to go fancy.
On the other hand, if you are gearing that form for a shield, you're not going to be using it for damage. So we'll have to see how the overall skill set shakes out.
Oh yeah, that's true too. And then, as Dre mentioned, the Magnus is a greatsword in peril. It does damage. It fills her LB gauge. And then the other skill is a cooldown. It costs 1,000 LB gauge, which is effectively 100 LB crystals. So she's going to be really hard to spam her LB every turn without just literal entrust. Things like Kresnik or Selfie that I like to do, which is like filling LB gauge every turn without entrusting. It's probably not going to be possible for Esther because her LB gauge is a minimum of 100 crystals large.
I might just be having a complete memory blank, but I thought it was 100 LB per one crystal.
No,
in the way these are noted.
Now you're making me doubt myself. I don't know. I thought the writing was 10-1.
Yeah.
It could be 100-1.
With the current meta, 100 sounds much more reasonable than 10 for an overall gauge cost, unless it does only take a small part of her gauge.
It could. I don't know.
So
oh, jeez. Well, that is something we're going to have to either look into later or wait for the data mine. So either... I don't know. I thought it was 1 to 10. But I could be wrong.
Yeah, I'm just mind blanking now on it.
And then her Magnus abilities. So they're introducing a new mechanic. So a few people were confused, myself as well at first. Esther is going to be able to refill Magnus abilities, but this is only for herself. It is not a party-wide refill. When I first heard it, I was like, "Oh, a party-wide LB or Magnus refill." That's not the case. She can only refill her own Magnuses, so we're not getting permanent uptime of Kresnik in view.
Yeah, I think it's even more specific than that. It's a different type of Magnus ability that can be refilled. Like any old Magnus type ability cannot be refilled.
Oh yeah,
because it actually uses the charges, like the charge meter, in a completely different way. Like the old ones have. If they have 3 pips, that means you can use it 3 times and it'll go down to 2, then go down to 1. This one will have 3 pips. It'll use all of them at once on a single use. And then each base form LB gives her back 1 pip. And then she can reuse it when she's recharged all the way back up to 3.
Oh, no. No, it's, it does that. But if her LB is level 4, they actually showed this in the video. If her LB is level 40, it refills it completely, entirely.
Okay, it refills all 3 at once.
Yeah,
that's a bit more reasonable than I thought.
Yeah, you have to level her LB, which is fine.
Yeah, just the base level 1.
We're drowning in LB pots, or at least I am.
Yeah. Yeah, same.
And we talked about the card briefly, but yeah. So here's the card. It's attack and defense with a greatsword. It's got killers to 4 different races, and then for FFBE units, it's got 75 LB damage. Like, the card is fine. I feel like this is not a premium card.
Yeah. It's like it would be really nice as a regular card, but it's really not worth chasing EX3 for, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Because EX3 Premium is so expensive.
To just put on my conspiracy hat for a moment, I think the reason for this is probably they didn't want to eat into the sales of Knights of Gransheld's card. Because he is, known for his card primarily. And if it was, 500 flat attack, just, for everyone, that would heavily eat into that sale. So that may or may not be the case. We'll never know, but that's what I think it probably is.
If it had been 500 for Esther only, then, or if both roles had the if both shift forms had the tank icon, they could have done 500 attack for tanks only.
Oh, that would have been interesting.
That would have been funny. No, yeah, it's just ends up a little weak for a premium card, but I don't mind that because it means you just can be comfortable with EX2.
Yeah. And before we move on, just one more thing to mention. I didn't actually bring up the news for it. Maybe I should have, but there was a warning for players that are abusing the like refund system in the game. So if you're doing that, you should probably stop. That's really all there is to it. It's basically a
Yeah, I mean
warning
that
saying players were taking advantage of customer service and abusing it, and they're going to put a stop to that. So.
like that's not even an FFBE thing really. That's just being shitty.
Yep. And we're finally getting Adele and Physalis updates after
Yeah.
so long. So
They're like what, 4 months late or something like that.
I think it's longer, but it might just be, I don't know, but they're definitely late. So Adele is getting some EX skills, basically auto LB, which is pointless. 500 attack at EX3, which is whatever. Chain cap up when dual wielding, which is fine, but no one's really going to dual wield her if
Yeah.
you're actually using
Like,
her.
she really should have had that in her original kit, but now the meta's so TDH heavy that it's kind of
It's
whatever.
it is so whatever.
But yeah, I mean the 500 attack certainly doesn't hurt.
But the big thing is the what's it called? Ultimate Descending Gem Strike at 3 crown mastery crowns is going to a 3,700x finisher move available on turn 6. So this is kind of crazy, and we're gonna real quick. I should have. I meant to do this in advance. I've got like a
What's your
screenshot
damage?
of a damage breakdown. So this is just my personal spreadsheet, and these are calculations with like heavy team support and like wailed out best possible builds before assuming for killers. So with those stipulations in mind, here is where Adele would land at EX3 with a gun build. This is really important here. This is with a two-handed gun, so these assumptions require Louise or the original Lightning. Or you can do a fist with Cacteria and a 35% fist in peril. But if you have all that, this is where a crowned Adele would burst. So basically the same as Kane currently. A little bit under Graph, although if you assume a max variance roll, which you can farm for, you can't farm for that on Graph. You can rerun the fight with Adele until you get that 1.75 or whatever the max is for a gun. And she's actually the highest burster in the game. Period.
I think the pre-killers thing is really important here because TDH Adele is having to build 400% TDH and like a full 200% chain cap from gear, and that really eats into slots.
Definitely. To use Adele with crowns, you almost require that global exclusive Leave It to Me card because that fills a lot of holes for her. It gives her some flat attack because her attack is pretty low. It gives her 200 double hand, and it gives her the 0.5 chain cap up, which means you can actually skip the Savior STMR at only a 0.5 penalty instead of a full chain cap penalty to open up more slots for killers, which is what you can do for some builds. So yes.
And if you do need like a really budget build, you can run the true dual wield and that'll gear incredibly easily and have max chain cap innately, but without variance it will take a pretty significant hit in potential damage. But if it's letting you get like 300% mixed race killers, then it might be worth, especially if other units are using your TDH gear.
And like, for example, I gave Kane the 1.15 variance because the Blaze Spear exists. There is that one-handed fist weapon from Legend of Mana, so you can actually do 1.15 variance with the dual wield Adele build. And she would land somewhere around like the 7.5 burst if you did that and lost that big variance boost. She'd be somewhere around here in her overall burst. So she's a pretty good unit. Just keep in mind the really, really important thing is it's not available until turn 6. Now, for Dark Visions, there's been quite a few fights where you have to finish it by like turn 4 or so, or turn 5 for the current Vision World. Now, with Roka, you can still do that, but at that point, you're taking 2 units just to enable 1, and Adele seems a lot less, good.
Yeah, so, that might only be worth if either your other damage options are like pretty limited, or Roka's stats and earth buffs are also being put to use.
So Adele, incredibly powerful with a whole lot of fine print included in that. Really hard to gear. Can't do it until turn 6. Not even usable on some dark visions without Roka because of the
Costs
turn 6
four
thing.
crowns, which is like half of our total income of them so far, almost.
Very expensive. But on the other hand, sometimes she is exceptionally powerful, even though she's very late. She's still very powerful. I'm probably not going to crown her like right away. But if there's a Dark Visions fight that she is usable on, we can go past turn 4, etc. And I feel like she would get me a higher tier of ranking. I'd probably crown her. What about you, Dream? Have you used your crowns yet, or were you holding out for her? Or are you holding out for
I
someone else?
I haven't used any and wasn't really holding out for any specific unit. I like my damage dealer selection is kind of limited right now, so I could definitely see myself using her crowns, but also like for a while now, I haven't really been tryharding much on ranking events, partly because for Cal, like not having Lara is just immediately demoralizing. But
Feels bad, man.
yeah, I could see myself crowning her, but certainly it won't be an immediate thing again. Yeah.
It makes sense. And then Physalis. This is the original Neovisions Physalis, so the older one, not the new sniper. Again, EX2 Warring Spirit. It did boost her LB gauge a little bit, but we'll get to that more in a second. And then, it increased her LB gauge. 1,000 flat magic at EX3, which is obviously great. So you can also get both the Chronicles, or both the gun flat attacks. So if you have Sniper Physalis' STMR and the old Chronicle, she can dual wield those for another 1,000 flat. So she can get really high magic. And then her LB goes to 215x, and it doesn't show the consecutive up. It caps at 300x. So here is the burst for Adele. Not Adele. Physalis. It's a 300x modifier, but yeah, the reason like Sniper Physalis is also 300x because she has focus. She can focus, and she has the same high magic as EX3 old Physalis. So I really can't recommend crowning this one. She is just way too late. Like,
Yeah. Yeah,
Madam,
she's definitely one that needed to be months earlier.
yeah, she should have been on time. Adele, I can understand why they delayed her because even today she's top of the meta. If you go through all her hoops, but Physalis is not. There was no reason to delay her for 4 or 6 months. She is way too far behind these days.
And that's always disappointing.
So, big sad face. I'm sure Semi James is going to all in crown her maximum on day 1. But for everyone else, this is probably not worth your very, very limited crown sources.
Mm.
And then the story event is the Esther story event, a tough nut to crack. It's a global exclusive story event, so I don't know what's going to happen in it. I'm assuming she's fighting the Exterminator. Here's the gear, which is all we really care about, or at least all I really care about for the story event. So the helm is... Oh, it's a hat. The hat is really good. It's some killers and 60 attack and defense. It's fine. It's obviously not our best in slot.
Oh.
What was
It's
that?
like a side grade to Red Hellebore for attack units are slightly better because of the killers.
But the kind of funny thing is, that's actually human and demon. I was going to say the Ashura helm for actual heavy helms, but that's actually human and demon killer, but it's 50 to each. So, yeah, this feels like it could have been better, but it's fine. It's completely free gear, so whatever.
It'll show up sometimes in builds, but not that frequently.
And then this is the big, extreme, awesome thing. Oh, we didn't even cover it for Esther. Her LB is extreme Nova frames. Let's just put that out there so people to know, because no one changed
it
extreme
would be
Nova.
a bit limited on partners, yeah.
But they got our back. They fixed it. They're giving a materia, which is very similar to like the Blue Wave materia. You can equip this on anyone and give them the chaining frames for extreme Nova. So you're going to stick this on like your Mermaid Frisia or your Ramu or Daughter of Thunder Sakura, your Nicole, because Esther can go to any element. So whoever your support unit is on the burst turn, they can chain with Esther. Also, for units that are still somewhat used, Zahn has Extreme Nova by default. So does Neovision's Rain if you're using him for like a fire team. So does the original Elena, the Neovision's version. Her LB is also Extreme Nova. So there's other
Guy,
options.
Guy also technically does on her base form LB, but you're sacrificing like 80% of her personal damage, which you probably don't want to do.
Oh yeah. So make sure you get this. Like I can already see in the future from videos I make, and I use this
Oh yeah.
materia constantly. People are gonna be like, "But I don't have the materia." Well, get it. You've got 3 weeks. Do not miss this materia. You've got to clear the entire story event to get it.
The one problem I do have with it is that despite Esther being not element lock, this is innate lightning, so if there's any fight that you want to go against that's actually like lightning immune or counters lightning badly or something, then this is going to suddenly become not usable, and then she might struggle for chain partners. But
That is
that's like pretty niche.
that is very very true. And then there's a daily boss. I'm assuming this is super easy. This is going to be a crafting farm boss that just kill it every day. And there's a total of 14 days. Yeah, so these dailies reset every single day, so make sure you don't miss them. And then Clash of Wills, we've got the Vestige of the Exterminator or Eggsterminator.
Always with the puns.
Always, I
Wouldn't be
love them.
global without them. Actually.
So he does lightning and earth damage. I would assume it's going to be a primarily physical fight because it's Esther, and that's how they usually tune it. So it's probably going to be a physical tank preferred. He boosts himself. He reduces damage when his HP goes low. So it sounds like maybe you want to do your big burst in like phase 1, so to speak, just like we did with what was the last one we did? Was the Nyan Beast, where you want to do your big burst as your first burst. It seems like, we don't know.
Yeah, because it'll probably mitigate for the second one.
And then he starts with like high defense and spirit, and then he's going to lower it over time as you deal lightning damage. This is like the same mechanic we've had for 4 Clash of Wolves in a row now. They're basically trying to say we don't want you OTKing this on turn 1 is kind of the way of it. This I'm a little concerned about. Unleashes a powerful attack if not inflicted with disease. As you know, Kresnik autocast disease, and that may or may not interrupt your flow of the fight if he diseases on like a wrong turn or something.
Yeah, because the problem is disease resist builds up over time as you keep inflicting it.
Yeah, so I hope Kresnik does not troll us, but if he does, well, we'll have to deal with it. You actually can retarget the disease. It's an enormous headache, but it can be done.
One thing I was just thinking of with the previous point about the defense and spirit, rather than sounding like it's over turns like it has been in the previous couple clashes, this sounds like it's more HP threshold for the break. So that could be a slightly different dynamic, I guess, for the... It's still like anti-OTK, I guess, but
oh yeah, it could be.
That could change that kind of optimal burst threshold if those self breaks that he's doing are actually like exceeding what you can do with your own units. You might have to like burst below 70 to get the good break, but above 50 to avoid mitigation.
Oh geez, sounds complex.
That'd be a bit of a headache.
But we will be figuring that out on Thursday. Now, the special morale ability this month is always a special one. This one is boosting your break immunity. So if you're using like Maeve to tank, Behemoth, they can do this on demand every single turn, or like Kresnik can. Or if you got the Pause of Prosperity, that is going to be like your support unit's calamity border for this clash, because that does it as well. You basically just want to do it every single turn. You want to boost break immunity for that morale gain.
Yeah, so that ability isn't too impactful, and the problem with these is they're often not available on turn 1 anyway. So like the actual morale ability itself is a little pointless, it feels, but it gives a sign that the fight will probably be using some breaks.
I was actually talking about this right here, the bonus morale gain for that buff, kind of like calamity border.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
I was talking about the thing below.
Oh yeah, yeah, this one, and then this one it does the same thing, but yeah, like Dream was saying, this is only available once your morale bar gets to a certain point, and it's gonna have a cooldown. So this you can only do like this is for those emergencies where like maybe the boss dispelled you, or you just don't have that on your team and you need it for a certain threshold. That's when this would come into play. But if you have the ability to, you want to do it every single turn because it gives that huge bonus morale for the game. And then the usual thing is the boss's morale. This is different, or not different. Not different. It's the hit point down. So they've tried not hit point down. Healing down. So they've tried healing down on like 3 or 4 bosses at this point. It has never mattered yet. They keep putting it back in though. They keep tuning it up. The last one was a 50% heal down. It still didn't matter like at all. Like that was literally not relevant at the slightest on the last boss.
Yeah.
So do you think this time, Dream, has it been tuned up to the point where it's going to actually matter or still be ignorable?
It might, because like the last one that was 50%, that was the permanent EX mod on the whole fight, whereas this is the previous form of the active debuff, and because it's only used as a certain morale action, it might actually be like quite severe, but also one of those things that you just don't really see if you do the fight correctly.
It's possible. New modifiers are HP. That's actually not new. Oh, is this like the same modifier in 1? Okay, so this seems like it's the same one in 1.
Yeah, it might be, because otherwise the HP lock wouldn't be listed on its own.
Okay.
So yeah, it must be the single mod together.
So it's going to start the party at 20% HP, which I would assume the boss just goes ham on turn 1, and you kind of have to be healed enough to survive it. So you're going to have to
I wonder if it'll be a preemptive.
Yeah, party. Oh, you mean so we start at 20% from the mod, and then he does a preemptive on top of that.
Might attack before your turn.
Oh God,
that'd be nasty.
Okay, so everyone, go and do season 4. Get the Obsidian Bracer for the auto break that works during preemptives. That might be a really big deal.
It might just be that you have to heal up turn 1 and then he attacks at the end of that. Who knows? We will see in a couple days.
Yeah.
I think an interesting variant on this could have been if it reduced their max HP rather than just current. Like all of your units become super frail.
That would be really, really cool. It would actually really incentivize gearing your party for bulk instead of just glass cannon like on everyone other than the tank.
I think 20% would maybe be a little too severe for that, though. It would need to be like 40, 50.
Yeah, it might be a bit much, but that would be a really cool idea though for one of the maybe future Clash of Wills. They could try that out. That'd be awesome.
In general, I like that they are trying different modifiers and it's not just the same set every time, because that's something we were worried about in the first few.
Yeah. So the rest of that is just all repeat of the previous Clashes. No changes there. So yeah, I am. I love Clash of Wills. I'm super hyped for this. I'm super hyped for Esther. We've got one more thing, the message from the FFBE operations team. So for the past few weeks...
Actually, sorry to interrupt, but there's one quick thing that you didn't seem to have brought up the news for, but there's this player appreciation ticket summon. That's one of these ones that you get like 3 10 pulls for every year you've been playing, basically.
Yeah, I usually don't do like the free pulls, but this is like above and beyond the usual.
A bit more significant, yeah.
Yeah, we're getting assuming you've been playing since day 1, or actually not that long. It's I think 5. That is about day 1, isn't it? 365. So it's something like 4 years. You'll get the maximum. I don't have the news brought up, so I can't really open it on the fly. I have to go dig it up. But it's gonna be up to 150. Summons. I think you get 1 ticket per milestone or something, and each ticket is 10 summons, I think. So
3 per milestone, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
So
3 per year.
So I'll personally be getting all of them, and then players, depending on how long you've been playing, you'll be getting, various amounts. How about you, Dream? Have you been playing since day 1? Have you been a recent?
I joined in like week 2, I think.
Oh, okay.
I got the Magitech Terror, but
nice.
I remember I wasn't strong enough to complete the Gravity Rod farming event, so I have the Void Vessel recipe, but not the Gravity Rod itself.
Oh no! I actually used Gravity Rod in a recent video. That's cool. So you're getting all
I'll get
150
the
as well.
450 easily.
Nice.
Yeah, and those have regular 3% NV rate, which is nice.
Yes, but keep in mind, it does say in the fine print, only units added as of this week, meaning Esther is not going to be in the free pool. Which
Yeah, and obviously the Xenogears won't be, which is fair enough.
because they're limited.
But Kane is.
Yeah, Kane and Iridia, they should be. Yep.
Yeah.
Which
So
is
that's
nice
something.
because my Kane pulls went terribly, and I wanted his EX3, but
Yeah.
that didn't happen.
I certainly have plenty of units I'm missing.
So the Brave Exvius team is addressing some of like the complaints and anger that players have had for the past few weeks. Because these, I'm not going to read it word by word the whole thing, but in summary, the Xenogears, the way they removed all the shards and they basically made them premium units, just straight up. And players were upset about that. They said in here, like somewhere, like they did it because of overall unit balance.
Mindful of their strength, it's like, oh, one of them was decent, better make them expensive.
Yeah, I don't like that because we're getting some other future units that are pretty strong. Like, I don't want, just because a unit is not like a trashy Milo tier or whatever, all of a sudden it's going to cost double the price. I don't like that. Like, just don't make bad units.
Yeah, and especially as like, yeah, sure, maybe if every other DPS was element locked, maybe Graph would be enough of an impact to warrant that. But with the actual global meta, that's just really not.
Yeah, and for just like straight up pure fans of the series, id got caught up in this, and id did not deserve a premium price tag. Like, he's fine as a unit, but he is certainly not above the meta like Graph is, and
thoroughly mediocre.
And he just got caught up in this price increase. So players like Barrows, who love Xenogears, got kind of screwed on that.
Yeah, so that real sucks.
And then they talk about the missing unit upgrades. This is referring to all kind of stuff, like the 7-star upgrades, the EX abilities, the Neovision's Awakening. This is like just the overall umbrella. And again, it's a long letter. Everyone should read it for themselves. I don't want to spend 5 minutes reading it word for word. But the basics of it are they're going to be... I mean, this is kind of like one of those we've heard it before things, but...
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I am glad they're at the very least addressing the concern. Like this a copy paste, we've heard it before, we're saying again, is still better than radio silence.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm glad for that. I was
thinking that same sentence word for word as you said it.
But they did throw us a bone here. Where is it? The long-awaited Neovision's Awakening of Medina is still 2 months away.
It's kind of a bone because she is going to be very far from impressive by the time she releases.
I mean,
so I guess her STMR is still kind of nice when upgraded, but yeah, she is definitely going to be underwhelming. And the thing in the next sentence is that the other ones, aka Bar, Barisha, and Rubicant, are still under discussion, aka not on the current radar, aka not going to be with Edge Banner in a couple weeks either.
Oh my god. I hope they can fast track that, because on the Edge banner comes a somewhat challenging Chronicle battle that can only bring Final Fantasy IV units. And if we don't have Barbarisha, if we don't have Rubicant, and you didn't pull for the brand new Iridia and Kane, like, you just can't beat that at all. Not even talking about the turn limit, just like beating it is going to be an uphill battle.
At least it's permanent. Like, yeah, that'd be rough.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we will hope for a miracle and probably be disappointed.
And they do say right here, like, the reason we're getting the 150 summons, or depending on how long you've been playing, is like a we're sorry gift for doing this. Which, if I happen to get like a Tyvis from the free pulls on Thursday, then I guess I'll feel better about the skips. But
yeah, but it's a bit of like I don't know with that, but like,
yeah,
does that really make up for it?
Yeah, so like, it's not cool that this happened, but I'm very glad that they're addressing it. So thumbs up for that.
Yeah, it's not just head in the sand.
And that's pretty much it. So, are you going
Quite
all
enough
the way to pity for
activity.
this dream?
I don't actually have quite enough for pity. I've got like 58k currently. We'll have to wait to see the kit regardless. But
Mm-hmm.
might do just because my physical roster is very much lacking right now. And yeah, I haven't really been able to compete in Clash for a good few months now.
Oh, hopefully, Esther can
But
fix
yeah,
that
we will
for you.
see.
But all right,
We
this
will
video,
see. Okay.
this video is
I
actually,
guess
what was that?
one thing I've just thought of that didn't get touched on with what we've like heard of Esther's kit, it sounded like her LB isn't the one with the morale mod. So I think like Lara, she'll be using LB outside of Clash and heals with morale mod in Clash.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Hopefully, the skills she uses in Clash are not Extreme Nova.
Yeah, I'm guessing triple bolting for that
Oh, that'd be so much better.
because
So,
that she did introduce it. She got to have it somewhere.
but all right, thanks for joining me this week, Dream, and hopefully your
You're
pulls go
welcome.
well, and hopefully
Yeah, hopefully for once because
hope
they usually don't.
mine have been pretty bad recently too. Like I have, like I get good
Yeah,
pulls
a
sometimes,
couple
but
rough
like
ones.
the past few banners have not been kind to me. But it goes up, it goes down. We'll see. All right, see you guys next time.
Yeah. See ya.